Okay, guys, most of the shopkeepers wonder whether a shopper is just a window shopper or a buyer, or whether a window shopper is likely to turn out to be a buyer later. There is no mechanism by which the shopkeeper can predict whether a shopper will buy or not. And that is where the use of artificial intelligence comes to play. We have all been traditionally used to AI, artificial intelligence, in a robotic form, in a humanoid form. But then in a shop, artificial intelligence is just a number of cameras which are capable of zooming in on different parts of the shop as well as on the facial expressions and even pupillary dilations of the consumer. Some of these cameras are so powerful that they can even detect pupillary dilations of the consumer. Let's see how AI works in the shop floor. Slides, please. So guys, what you see on screen is a back office trying to analyze the customer behavior, the body language of the customer, the facial expression of the customer, even pupillary changes of the customer. See, this is what you see is a car showroom, and the back office trying to analyze the feedback from the artificial intelligence, which is trying to analyze and predict correctly whether the consumer is likely to buy or not. Next slide, please. Now, this is the case of an AI engineer trying to process data drawn from the shop floor to arrive at a conclusion as to the consumer behavior. Next slide, please. Now, this is a real shop floor. This is a slide that I would like to explain at length. What you see here are various cameras which are focused at various spots in the shop. And when a consumer passes by, these cameras focus on the face of the consumer, the movements of the consumer, the movements of the arms, fingers of the consumer. And the program is done in such a manner that it would check which product is in the eye line of the consumer. Which product did the consumer view for a longer duration of time? Which product did the consumer pick up from the shelf? Which product did the consumer read out the product information? Which product did the consumer check the price? How much time did the consumer spend at a particular shelf? So all this data are being continuously monitored and processed in the artificial intelligence, which is monitoring consumer behavior. Now, through a supervised and unsupervised learning program, gradually this artificial intelligence becomes good enough to predict with a reasonable extent of surety whether a consumer is likely to buy, which product is likely to buy, what exactly the reason is for not buying a product based on the body language, of course. The artificial intelligence cannot check if he didn't buy for want of money. But then if a consumer checked the product information and then kept it back, the artificial intelligence concludes that something in the product information deterred the consumer from buying. If the consumer checked the price and then kept it back, the artificial intelligence presumed that it's the price which prevented the consumer from buying the particular product. So, over a period of time, through supervised and unsupervised learning, the artificial intelligence becomes a real expert in predicting whether the consumer would buy or not, which product the consumer would buy, and why exactly the consumer did not buy a particular product. Back to me, please. Okay, guys. So, in the before the onset of artificial intelligence in the shop floor, the shop owners were in the blind as to why the consumer purchased a product, which consumer purchased the product, which product evoked the curiosity of the consumer, which product did he handle, take out and read, what exactly was the deterrent from buying that particular product. So when you incorporate artificial intelligence in the shop floor, the AI goes through supervised and unsupervised learning of the consumer behavior, and at the end of this exercise becomes more or less an expert on predicting whether a consumer would buy or not, which product the consumer is likely to buy, and it may even tell you exactly why the consumer did not buy a product. Thank you very much.